Jack.
Good morning.
Jack, you're on the screen even though you can't see yourself, so I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah. The glitches of technology. Oh, good morning, John. Been a while. How dare you not be available to us every single week?
We think you would have. I think you would have enjoyed some of the shows that you missed. We've been going over what we found in Point Reyes a little bit. We'll do it a little bit more today. But welcome back, John. Glad to have you, and welcome everyone else who is watching. Jack's got some things lined up for us today. He hinted about what it was going to be. But before that, I am wearing my patriotic version of the cowboy hat because all the cult members who still to this moment don't know where Iran is on a map and haven't uttered the word Iran since they can remember, suddenly we're ready to say, thank God we're going into Iran.
It's we weren't planning to do a political show, but of course, what's happened in the last few days since Sunday with starting another war in the Middle East for God knows what, I'm really fascinated to see politically what happens. Which is, there's whatever that 36% low approval rating that Trump has is his so-called base. That he can literally go onto Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and they still vote for him. What if they send their children to war to die?
It was fine. It worked for Bush. He saved his presidency with it.
Possibly. For some people, there it doesn't. It's like believing in God. Your faith is unshakable. But I think for certainly independents, the numbers have dropped to like 20% support for Trump as opposed to 60% support. So it's a big friggin' deal, which is why the election has to be rigged by Republicans while claiming that Democrats rig elections. But this is a big friggin' deal. It's a huge amount of money, a huge amount of resources. And exactly what are our goals and why are we there? Again, we all know this. We're us libtards. We know what's going on here. But how far will middle America go along with this insanity?
Operation Epstein distraction.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you. Epic Epstein Fury. It was called.
Dude, are these 5-year-olds who watched their first war movie naming these operations Epic Fury? Are you fucking kidding?
Once again, I just read Orwell's 1984 in the last few months, and it's so profound. The more insane this current administration and world gets, the more that book comes to mind of just keep lying to the people. Serve them up their victory gin, which, by the way, tastes awful. Tell them it tastes good. Tell them we have to be at war. And, that's back to the Nazi Germany theory of, the average person doesn't want to go to war. But tell them this is to save America. It's for the country, to be patriotic. And if you oppose the war, you're against the country. And the average person will go along with it.
Yeah. Vegan Life Cat. Hi, that's a new name for me. Welcome to the show.
I think she was here last week. But anyway, thank you. We appreciate our listeners and try to acknowledge you, and we'll read your comments as we can. And boy, do we have a show for you. And I want to mention one other thing on politics before we get into, the cattle industry, methane, brutality, how the average person can, reduce their climate impact, not by driving less, which is fine to do too, especially as the price of gas goes to $10 a gallon in California in the month ahead. But by, eating less meat and dairy would be beef and dairy would be a nice way to say it. Of course, go vegan is the real way, but even just to eat less, it will get you on the road to recovery. I want to mention something I saw on Instagram. Did you see this, Skylar? The latest post by Bernie Sanders, the old man.
Oh, I think I took down a screenshot of that to share.
Oh my God. No other politician. I talk with my lefty and liberal friends and say, okay, who's the candidate? Who do we put up against whatever it's going to be? I don't think Trump's going to make it. It'll be Vance, even though Trump would try to run a third term. Of course, why not? But Gavin Newsom, for me, rejected in California an initiative to tax billionaires, which puts him in the, hey, I'm getting money from billionaires class, so you're not electable in my world. Right? He's just too compromised.
That's disappointing.
It is very disappointing. So who would there be? And I was actually suggesting a candidate that people say, oh, well, he's great, but we could never. Well,
Mm.
watch the reaction when I suggest, how about this for a next potential candidate, assuming he's crazy enough to run? Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Who?
Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Okay, fill us in.
Well, he's a young, smart, progressive guy, incredibly intelligent, 6 languages, served in the military, but of course, gay. Well known.
Oh, there's no way.
So exactly, it's like, oh
There's
well,
just,
he's great, he's intelligent, but we were not ready to elect a gay man. I'm like, well, certainly Middle America would be scared, but he's a really decent guy, and he goes on Fox.
dude, America elected the Antichrist instead of a woman. They're definitely not going to elect a gay man.
Yes, yes. Well, this is the perfect way to highlight your realism/pessimism and my optimism, which is to say, we elected a black man. Of course, we got a Neanderthal white
He
man
was a man.
afterwards as a recovery. But yeah, Obama was, wildly overqualified compared to what we have now as an idiot. But are we ready for a gay man who's young, served in the military, uh, communicates really well, has been on Fox News, which is amazing. He has the courage to do that. Most other candidates don't. I don't know. Again, I don't know if he wants the job. I just put it out there. But back to Bernie's bold vision, the opposite of Gavin Newsom's slick machinations. He proposed Bernie a 5% tax on just billionaires.
Yeah,
And
that's
just a 5% annual tax on billionaires would, of course, they would still be billionaires. They would still be all powerful and mighty. But what it would do, it would be able to reverse all cuts to Medicaid with that money, raise the minimum I'm reading this now, raise the minimum salary of every public school teacher to a whopping $60,000, meaning an almost livable wage. It would expand Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing for seniors, which is self-service now, and it would build $850 billion for affordable housing and provide universal child care. It would also send $3,000 stimulus checks to every person earning under 150K. Oh, thank
I
you.
have a
Great. Beautiful. Thank you, Skylar. How did you do that? I'm reading that. How did you? Do you
I
see
would
everything I see now wherever I look? That's
no,
impressive.
no. Let me just act like Trump and say that I do amazing things and incredible and praise me.
Nobody's ever seen anything like this, Skylar.
No, no, not the way I can do it.
But so let me put it to you, the cynic in the bunch here. If you tell the average Trumper, we want to send you a $3,000 stimulus check, are they going to be opposed to that because Bernie suggested it?
I,
No, I mean it fuses the circuitry because,
yeah,
and of course the beautiful thing is it would teach the idiots of this country that, oh, that's right, when a poor person or a working poor person gets 3 grand, what do? They spend it. They immediately put it back into the economy as opposed to putting it in an offshore account like Elon Musk or to build rockets to
yeah.
Mars.
I'm having trouble getting past the teacher's salary as a former educator. I mean, it's 2026 and we're still talking about getting to 60K.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, this is baby steps, but it's like it's a no brainer. It doesn't say we pass a law saying no billionaires. It's a temporary correction of the offensive wealth disparity. Oh, by the way, it got us some comments here. We've stimulated the crowd.
Okay, let's. So that is too bad. What's that? Sassy Hat Skylar. Okay. Someone said that they love Pete. Is that the gay
Yeah,
politician that you talked about?
Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, I follow politics more closely than you do, Skyward. Yeah, he was in the Biden administration. He was, God, a mayor of is a Midwest town. Actually, he's an exceptional person. So he can in this country, in homophobic America, he can get away with being gay. Um, Danny says, I saw that Bernie. He's the best. Yeah, he is. And of course, well, he's too old to be elected. I guess he is, but I don't know. Corinne says raise teacher salaries to 120 grand. Well, sure. While we're dreaming here, but what I suggest, folks, let's spread this. What Skyware has put on the screen is on Instagram. It's probably on YouTube as well. Let's just spread this, put it out there. I would love it to be a litmus test for all politicians across the spectrum, left and right. What do you think about this idea? Go on record as saying you oppose it. It's communism. It's what is it? Income distribution, which it is. Like, can you boldly just say, yeah, this is obscene. This is the way to correct for it, and give a lot of people money that they're going to pour right back into the economy when they pay their rent, as they pay their mortgage, groceries, gas. No one's ever heard of a word like groceries before. It's this old new word.
Yeah, and affordability. Um, so John Spear, as usual, provides some critical thinking, and he's like, "Well, how is this going to be enforced?"
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but let's start with the fact that no one's even attempting it for now.
No one's even better. Take a step back. No one's even proposed it before, except Bernie. I mean, Bernie's the. I mean, would AOC? I assume she would say yes on this. What would Pete Buttigieg do? What would Gavin Newsom do? He's opposed it, but Gavin Newsom is a political creature in kind of the best and worst sense of the word simultaneously.
Mm.
If there's a lot of public pressure, he would relent. Well, yeah, because let me see. Yep, if I go with this, I'll get elected. I'll follow that wind.
Do you have a concise answer for why the Democratic Party ended Bernie Sanders when he should have ran against Trump in
Yeah,
2016 and in 2020?
the DNC torpedoed his campaign because the
They're
Democratic
actually
Party.
Republicans.
I'm sorry.
Because they're actually Republicans.
Well, like I learned in 1980 when I was 20 years old from Ralph Nader, corporations have corrupted the political process, and that's both left and right
Yeah.
across the centrist board. Not Bernie. I mean, Bernie's a millionaire, but he's not on the grift. And to those people who say, "Well, all politicians are corrupt," no, that's lazy thinking. It's not that simple. It's not that black and white. It's a continuum. Some are incredibly on the grift, like the current president is all about the grift, and then some, well, they vote to raise their salaries. But in any case, to answer your question, the DNC is the party of the corporations at this point. Not as deep in it as Republicans, but at a certain point, like, once you're below the mud level, who cares how low you are?
Okay, so what you just said is both of them are on the side of the corporations. So we're
Well,
definitely fine.
and that's oh God. I mean, this has been rot. It's been going on since the Reagan era when I came of age politically, but it's much, much worse. So Reagan is Trump light. Trump is Reagan extreme. It's you get a job in government to gut government, to end regulation of corporations, and then you go back to your corporate job, and now you can make even more money and get more power and influence and corrupt the government even more. But the solution is the government, which is it can be for the people and by the people and of the people. Corporations will never be that way. They're private entities which we hold, to be beyond reproach in this country.
We'd better move on before we lose interest.
Yeah.
Um, I oh, here, just a little small talk. Did anybody get out of bed to look at the moon?
Thanks to
The
you, Skylar. When you texted me last night at 11 o'clock or so, I was like, what are you talking about? I hadn't known about it. And I did happen to get up at just before 3 o'clock to pee. And I went outside, which is where I go oftentimes because I live in enough country. Sorry, folks, it's full disclosure. And I looked up and like, oh my God. And I went, got my binoculars, and it wasn't a full eclipse, but it was probably, I don't know, 75% obscured and bizarre. So tell me what was going on there, other than I guess that's the shadow of the Earth, or is there some very large satellite that's about to crash into us, obscuring the moon last night?
a few people said yes, they did. You know what? I took some video of it, and I will try to put it up. But what happened was when I got up, I was very disappointed because I didn't see anything. And the moon usually is so bright it wakes me up when it passes by my window at that time. Cloud cover at 3 a.m. And just when I was giving up, the clouds moved, and there it was. And you saw a crescent, and then you saw the whole thing change, except that it was orange tinted, which was the sun going through our atmosphere, the Earth's atmosphere, getting filtered and landing on the moon.
Try that again.
Nope, that's as good as it's going to get.
It was an eclipse in that it was the shadow of the Earth landing on the moon, correct?
Yes, but but it had an orange tint to it.
Because of our atmospheric
Yeah.
dust. Okay. I didn't know
So
any.
I ended up seeing quite a bit of it. Chris Cedar says it was cloudy, but I ended up being able to see it. The clouds moved.
Chris lives 10 miles west of me in Fairfax. I'm here in San Rafael, and it was a clear night. The difference, I guess. Wow. Oh, and John August. Yeah, he's my, well, among many other amazing things, John is also an astronomer. So he's got a good telescope. John, write more if you have anything more to say, if you know how to do that in the comment.
And John says the Republicans represent oligarchs. Any response to that?
Yeah, no, John and I pretty much agree on the politics. I think we might have some differences, but yeah, they're more deeply embedded for sure. I mean, especially right now. I mean, my God, they're all backing Trump, who is just purely corporate greed, and there are many Democrats who do not support Trump and are more and more vocal about it. They're in the minority, unfortunately.
Corinne says, "Are you going to give your report on your meeting with the TNC?" Hey, here, I'll summarize it. Skylar is always right. Where's my Trump hat? Skylar was right about everything.
So, oh God, I mean, this is a separate show. So I did have my meeting with the Nature Conservancy representative, a guy named Greg Richardson,
Oh.
38 years old. Couldn't have been nicer. I mean, I like the guy personally. That's the difference between me and
I
Skylar.
don't want to hear the compliments. Just get to it.
Sorry, Skylar, this is
Nope.
me talking, not
No.
you.
He's
The-
obviously a piece of trash.
So, Corinne, you see the challenge here is I've got a filter called Skylar, which is not going to let me say what I would say about it. It's
Get to the meat.
the
Boy, we've
meat.
got to stop using that term, don't we?
The meat of it is, yeah, the meat of it is. Greg is appointed to be the lead on this, and he's just getting up to speed, so he is not in a position of power. So he can't say this is exactly what's happening, when it's going to happen.
Therefore, he was sent to answer your questions.
So he's as I think the one thing we could agree on, he is in effect a Melanie Gunn, who has been the public relations person for the Park Service. Greg is the public relations person, but friendly for the Nature Conservancy. But the only question I got answered was how many cows initially is the Nature Conservancy planning approximately to bring in to the seashore to restore the seashore with cows, which of course is an oxymoron since they're the problem. And he said, don't hold me to the number, but 300. So 300 cows initially, the Nature Conservancy, John Spear, you might find this interesting, is going to bring in. And then that's in addition to the 282 cows total that is allowed, according to the revised ROD, for the two ranchers who will remain in the park. And that's Dave Evans and Bill Nyman. So that is a total of approximately 600, let's call it 700 cows. So Optimist Me says, well, that's a lot better than 5,000 cows. And then Skylar would say, see, still cows. We haven't gotten the cows out. It's nonsense.
Oh, you gave a very, very kind version of what's actually happening because
Yeah.
you left out the other thing that I predicted, and that's that ranchers are getting paid to leave and getting paid to come back because
So
the targeted grazing is indeed likely going to be fulfilled. No, definitely going to be fulfilled by a former Point Reyes rancher or maybe a current one in Dave Evans. So they're getting paid to leave and getting paid to come back.
let me
And that's exactly what I predicted.
So sure, you're right. And I concur, Your Honor.
Everybody understand what I just said and how insane that is?
So
and how TNC is blatantly on the side of the ranchers?
So what I confirmed was there was 5 bids to the Nature Conservancy's request for bids for who would come in and do their targeted grazing. And they have accepted one rancher who indeed we went back and forth for a bit. He was trying to evade me, but I kept like, come on. Is it someone who is was a rancher in the park? Not necessarily is, but was. Yes, it's one person who got the bid. When that contract is signed, then it will be announced. My speculation, like yours, is it would make sense that it would be Dave Evans for a bunch of reasons, but we don't know. Don't know. This is gossip now. We'll find out. But to Skylar's point, yeah, how crazy to pay ranchers to get their cows out. And then the Nature Conservancy is going to bring in cows, but do them better because they'll move them around more. And we'll pay one of the old guys with cows to bring more cows back in from the cows we paid him to leave. What?
I mean, it was bad enough to bring in anyone's cows after paying cows to leave, but you're paying the same people more money that you paid not to be there. Uh,
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
there's, in my opinion, another possibility of who it might be, and that possibility, in my mind, is Kevin Lunny because he planted the seed in a Point Reyes Light article that they should use somebody who had been there and knows what they're doing and knows the land.
Right. He said, "Yeah, we're because we're stewards of the land. Pick me. I'm the steward of the land. Look at the great job I did keeping the invasives down." By the way, Leah says, "Who cares if the TNC is friendly? Of course they are." Right. Would you like that comment, Skylar?
I
Who
don't.
cares?
Oh, like you describing that guy? Yeah. I mean, honestly, Jack.
Well, this is where you and I guess
No, just stop.
never.
He's sent to put a face up
Mhm.
and protect the liars that he represents. I mean, his job is to put on a face.
So
Don't
this
don't.
so
How
so
does that deserve a compliment?
So this style, what we're in disagreement about, and Leah's probably more on your side about this, which is like
You think?
f this BS. Tonight, 6 o'clock tonight, Tuesday, March 3rd, Leah and I and two other activists, Mike Rapena and Jason Bilalik, are going to be on a 6 p.m. webinar talking about welfare washing and also humane washing in the vegan activist world. So these kind of conversations, which is who cares if they're friendly, or as Leah calls them, pick me vegans. Well, if I'm friendly and nice to people, I can get them to convert to veganism. No, you can't. That's BS. And you're just watering down your message. That conversation, probably among others, will go on tonight, folks. 6 o'clock tonight on my event page. You can find the link. This is hosted by the San Francisco Vegan Society. My event page is treespiritproject.com events. And you register for the Zoom, you'll get a link to it, and you can see Leah and me and two other activists have a really interesting discussion, which will touch on, does it pay to be friendly, or don't even bother, just speak bluntly, because it needs to be said.
I think that's. I get the connection, but that's a bit of a leap.
Thank you.
I mean, we're talking about someone who literally his purpose essentially is to waste your time and placate the public by going and pretending to be interested in what you have to say when he isn't even qualified to go and do that. And you want to compliment him that at least he was friendly while he sat there and wasted your time.
Well, to jump to your side of the fence, my friend, I'll be friendly with you as I do that. Forgive me for that. But to your point, the Nature Conservancy is pro cattle industry. They take money from a lot of wealthy donors who are either part of or indirectly connected to the cattle industry. So they will never oppose cattle industry. And they even have a white paper written by their PhD range scientist. As somebody calls it, it's like a Hitler doctor. A Nazi doctor is going to watch your little Jewish kid and take care of them. So they're always going to be pro cattle. They can't they're not built for that to say, as I say, cattle are always in any number, large or small, a destructive force on the land.
For everybody, I don't know if anyone actually cares or waits to watch to see my next production, but I am working on something, spending a little bit more time on it to absolutely just leave no shadow of a doubt that TNC's plan can't be applied while considering science, history, or even common sense. And with that having been said, I want to read Vegan Life Cat's comment. Call me naive, but there are several, if not more, documentaries about successful rewilding without cows. Why is the TNC not using those methods? Indeed, those exist. But what you're going to see from me is that you have evidence right there inside of the park that both shows that where there aren't cows is exactly where things are the healthiest and native plants are returning, and where there are cows is exactly where there aren't native plants or anything healthy taking place. I mean, that right, I didn't make that up. That is indisputable. I will put my life savings on what I just said and go out there with you right now. Send anyone from TNC. Send your stupid PhD, Sasha Gennett, who is paid to lie and gives science a bad name, and I will go destroy her in person because reality is on my side.
Yeah.
I consider myself an observation scientist, which is, by the way, what science is supposed to be. You observe things, and then you ask questions, and then you observe some more in order to answer those questions. The TNC is propaganda and emotion and bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So, and to answer your question, Vegan Life Cat, very directly, why is TNC not using those methods? Because they're invested in the cattle industry. They'll always
Yeah,
reverse engineer.
yeah, vegan life for cat. How would the TNC do what they obviously were planning to do all along and continue to line the pockets of those ranchers if they didn't include using cattle?
And they certainly can't go on record and say what I'm saying and what Schuyler says in his way, which is cows are always a destructive force on the land. No amount of cows is good. If you have 5 cows, they'll do less damage than 5,000 cows, but they're not, as Greg and the TNC propaganda machine will constantly say, well, they're prehistoric megafauna imitating the behavior of bison. No, they're not. And if you don't know, just very briefly, they're larger, heavier, move more slowly, even if you push them around as they plan to do with targeted grazing or regenerative ranching nonsense. Oh, move the cows around more. Well, then that requires more land that they'll damage, just spreading the damage out. And then, of course, it's an extractive industry, which is you take the cow off the land. You don't have a bison die on the land and decay into the land, and all of its body becomes part of the land again. It's removed to be eaten. It's an extractive industry for profit.
Here's something that I say on the show a lot. We can spend all day like arguing the physical differences of livestock versus a native grazer. Here's what people aren't spending enough time thinking about. One of them spent millennia evolving with the land and learning to work with the plants and animals that live there in a non destructive manner. So, therefore, grazing can exist without bringing everything to an end. And then you bring something else that has absolutely nothing to do with that. It doesn't have that thousands of years of relationship building, and you just dump it in there.
In
And
fact,
you think and you think that's going to be the same thing?
it's thousands of years, or certainly multi hundreds of years of aggressive breeding for a different purpose,
Right,
right? To
right.
get a bigger,
A non ecological purpose
not
is
right, which is to produce more milk and to be a bigger body to produce more meat. Yeah.
vegan heretic. Cool, another new name. Um, to me, at least.
Do you have a
My memory.
documentary? Do you have a documentary you recommend, meaning on this topic?
The she's referring to the mention of the documentaries that show that rewilding takes place without using cattle.
Oh, be careful. Beware the dangerous waters of the Michael Pollan-ish world of Common Ground and Kiss the Ground. Those
Right, which I was about to talk about.
Okay. Great minds. Which is to say, those documentaries talk about regenerative agriculture, which does exist, and it means, organic, no synthetic chemical stuff. But then it also shoehorns in, if you will, beef. And even the great Woody Harrelson narrates the first one, if not the second documentary. So that is sort of the cattle industry's influence on those otherwise good documentaries. There's some good information in there, but they wedge in, oh yeah, regenerative beef too, which is different than regenerative agriculture, or which is to say plant crops.
And I mentioned earlier observational science. Those documentaries that are supposed to be for grazing are indeed observational science in my favor because, as Jack and I have pointed out on the show, there's no visual evidence that anything that they're saying is true. Like these are documentaries telling you how great it is for the wildlife, and they can't show you any wildlife in their documentaries.
In fact, John's here, and because John, you've commented before. You're commenting now, but Sasha Gennett. If you don't know that name, you should. And 2 shows ago, I think we did a show, or 3 shows ago, we went into her. You and I, Schuyler, on this program, analyzed her PhD research paper, which I think was, by the way, for her dissertation. The topic of, hey, she cherry picked a few birds that actually benefited from destroyed habitat by cow, and then from that extracted a conclusion that, you see, cows are good on the land. Now that's very simplified, but that's essentially true. So she's their range scientist and a biologist as well, and great credentials out of UC Berkeley, of all things. God help us. But she is their front person on this. And really, the most damning thing about her is her white paper called Sustainable Grazing. That's their phrase, another euphemism. Sustainable grazing. It's another oxymoron on the Nature Conservancy's own website. written by her, and it's a total fluff piece for the PR industry, just like what we're going to get into finally now that we're halfway into the show about the Grim is Us Cattle Company. What do you got a picture of there, sir?
Well, I wanted to say something about the resident liar remaining in the park, and I was going through some of my old footage, and this is me walking through the fields where they conduct the silage mowing and chop up native birds, burrowing owls, burrowing rodents, baby deer hiding in the field, as well as chopping up any native plants that might be trying to come back. And I will continue to.
Actually, keep that picture up. It's very useful
Yeah,
right now.
cool.
So, what?
Oops.
Perfect.
God.
No, so people for the people who don't know what silage mowing is, they cut grass and then they feed it to their cows later, or they cut the fields down. It's not grass. But can you put that picture back up, sir, if you can, while I'm talking about it? But this is where Skylar's walking. So there's a big mower, industrial mower. They're cutting all the plants down, to whatever, to 8 inches height or something. From if you can see behind the vehicles there, that vegetation, it's a mixy mess, but whatever that is, let's call it 2 or 3 feet or 4 feet tall. This is what they're going to put cows in to do. Instead of having machines do it, they're going to use cows once again as lawnmowers, kind of to the same devastating effect, and they'll move them around, blah, blah, blah. But the implication is if you don't do this, all that stuff behind there, the tall vegetation, is considered a fire hazard, which is to say now we're demonizing not just forests, but fields. Everything that is not that can be eaten by cows is demonized as fuel load and fire fuel. And some of it can burn. But again, this is the anti-fire mentality that is driven by the need to manage landscape with livestock.
Okay. Well, you said a lot there, and therefore I have to respond.
Please.
Let's understand that the ranchers say you got to keep us around to fight this problem. And they are the reason that that problem is there and the reason that that problem remains. And the TNC is going to make sure that you never learn better, that the absence of them will yield native, perennial, naturally fire resistant plants that are green all year round. And
Like,
you don't
like,
need cattle for that.
like coyote brush, which,
Like,
can be pyrophytic and can burn, but is actually green and resistant to fire, unlike the grasses they bring in to feed the cattle.
I mean, with today's conditions, anything will burn. I mean, we got
Yeah.
some of the hold on. Let me show something. Mother of God, I'm having jack shite levels of difficulty with technology today. Okay.
Careful, buddy, because you're full of beans on that point. You're running evmux over there and can't get this platform to work. That is not my responsibility, and I won't hit you unless you hit first, buddy.
I'm definitely guilty here. That is native lupin, which is a pioneer plant, which means it's first on the scene to fix things, to try and fix the soil, pave the way for more healing to take place. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's the same field that used to be combined, mowed down, chopped up, and a little bit of time, just a little bit of time, without ranchers constantly murdering everything there.
Right.
This is taking place. And this progress that's already happening is what the TNC is going to undo. Well, almost certainly going to undo. In fact, it may be gone now because we're getting reports of more illegal cattle running through Point Reyes National Seashore on a side where there shouldn't be any at all at the moment.
You and I both favor the work of biologist Laura Cunningham with the Western Watersheds Project. And she's writing a very elaborate plan, which I hope as activists will be.
Oh, it's already been. You didn't see your email? They rejected it on site immediately.
Whoa, hang on. As of 3 days ago, she hadn't finished it. You're saying it's completed? I know she.
Yeah, check your emails.
Okay, I haven't checked my email today. I was preparing for the show and for tonight's 6 p.m. show with Vegan Society. Leah says these are the Common Ground and Kiss the Ground are two propaganda films for animal agriculture, and so-called vegans are shamefully in it and promoting it, including Woody Harrelson and Cory Booker. True. Yeah.
Hello, an honest doubter. I'm showing on the screen now. This is still some of my footage of the silage mowing. And in the foreground, I know it's hard to see the details, are European annual grasses that are mixed in with the radish and the mustard. But this is wall barley, and it's ripgut brome and it's slender oats. These are all very damaging to the environment. They will, in fact, kill your dog potentially. And they all turn into fire fuel, and they're all intentionally grown. But, Jack, if you can recall from one of our past episodes, what do you think the particular significance of me showing wall barley, intentionally grown by ranchers and reaching a seeding stage, is?
Is that one of the plants that the ranchers say they want? The Nature Conservancy says they want to get rid of by bringing in cattle.
It is one of the plants that Liar Lunny said, without my cattle here, wall barley's going to seed. Remember, you and I went out there, and I wanted to go to his ranch to see the status of the wall barley. Well,
Which we never got to, right?
I did.
Okay.
But what I found on his land is almost neither here nor there, because wall barley's all over the other ranches and intentionally grown and reaching seeding stages. But the Point Reyes Light, the Marin Independent, will let Kevin Lunny come on and say, without me, this will turn into a problem. You guys make sure that the problem comes back every single year.
To make it a reach of an analogy, it's like saying we're going to bomb the Middle East into peace, when bombing it is part of the problem. Part of the problem.
A couple more images, and then I'm turning this over to your Grimmius Reaper.
Now that we have 15 minutes left.
You're shitting me. How did that happen?
We're going to have to do this for another show, but I worked on a video, which I do want to show. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see these, right?
Yes.
Just
I can
get
see.
a nice close up of what death coming towards you looks like. That is a coyote walking out of the silage field with the hindquarters of a now murdered baby deer. This is what Dave Evans refers to as wildlife thriving, because you can come and see wildlife attracted to an unnatural event, such as ravens, the blackbirds, and coyotes, and anything else that wants to scavenge upon the carnage caused by ranchers, which the ranchers will turn around and tell you is nature. Now, on the other side of the road, I also filmed this coyote, and you see the giant trucks in the background and the ATV in the background, and
A coyote in the foreground,
the coyote in the foreground.
waiting to try to get some food out of the slaughter he's seeing, right?
And then the coyote had to move, and I saw what chased him away. And now you have a semi truck in the back, and you also have a dump truck going by. And that dump truck is already dumping cow manure on the just harvested field of non natives. And this nitrogen rich source is going to make sure that those exact same non natives come back. And everyone cheers that, oh, look at the green rolling hills of invasive fire fuel plants that are bad for the planet. Good job, Dave Evans. You are a true hero for nature.
I'm torn here. I'm not sure how to move on. Honest, an hour is too short anyway. Well, it is. It's I always think like keep it to an hour so that the show is tight. But an hour is such a long time for any podcast these days. I guess what the hell? In for a penny, in for 2 hours, pound.
I'm just showing a little bit more of.
Yeah, no,
this
great.
is from L Ranch looking down at McClure Ranch and the silage field that is between them. And I'm showing this because Dave Evans stood there and told us out of his mouth that without him and his cattle, the radish will grow too tall and shade out the other non-natives that shouldn't be there in the first place. But turns out it's all intentionally grown and was getting mowed to feed cattle every single year. Like nothing that he said was true. I mean, it was dumb in the first place to brag about fighting one non-native to make more room for your other non-natives, but he wasn't even telling the truth about that. And here's, by the way, what that field of um, habitat looks like.
Wow.
This is the field that Dave Evans pointed to and said, "Look at the habitat that we provide."
Wow. I'm not sure how it's coming across to other people. For me, that thing is very pixelated and low res, but I can still see the dirt in the foreground and truck tracks and beaten down vegetation that looks desiccated on a kind of a gloomyish day. I don't know. It's hard to see what's going on there, but certainly doesn't
Oh,
look like a healthy landscape.
sorry, I didn't. It doesn't look that pixelated on my end.
I'm not sure whether anybody else is seeing it that way, but in any case, we get the idea regardless. Yeah.
This is a good indicator of what I said earlier about the damage and destruction and the inevitable fire fuel plants that are grown. Everything brown and dead that you see there is ranched land. Everything green are perennial natives that aren't ranched. That's the exact same area. Those are the silage fields that I was just showing you images of, and this is what it looks like from space. The insanity of saying that ranching is good for wildlife, good for habitat, good for the environment is insane on a cultish level.
For me, it's just my personality. I just see that stuff and I just want to push this out to the public and push it out into the face of the Nature Conservancy. Anytime there's a public meeting or a Zoom, there's going to be two public comment meetings. I assume they'll be Zoom. We didn't get the details of that, but there will be two public meetings about how to manage land in the park. And I will hopefully organize us activists or encourage all other activists to get in on this and just keep hitting them with this stuff. And just keep hitting them and hitting them, hitting them with the truth, with how destructive their business is. This is just
For those of you that this isn't too pixelated for, that's the mother deer fleeing after her baby was chopped up in the mower blades.
and see.
Go ahead, read it.
Easiest way to tell if a rancher is lying is to see if their lips are moving. That used to be reserved just for lawyers, but now it accurately so applies to ranchers. Indeed, it does. They're in a destructive business, so everything in defense of it has to be a lie. It has to be propaganda. Now, can we segue from the propaganda of the cattle industry over to the Grimmius Reaper? At least, I mean, I want to run over at this point, which I can afford to do today if you can.
Yeah,
But
you can't see it, right? But it's on the screen.
okay, so you can see the Grimmius Cattle Company website, which is Grimmius, Grimmius. It sounds like a name I might have made up on a lazy day, but that's actually a family name. It's a family farm. And I just, so this is another dive into the world of cattle ranching propaganda. I love the meaning of this word. It brings me back to my corporate days at J. Walter Thompson. Everything we do
Jesus.
is built upon foundational values that don't change with the times. I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean? No, I'm asking you. Tell me, please, readers, tell me what that means. What is a foundational value? Except, I guess, one that doesn't change with the time, so it's already kind of semi-redundant anyway.
Does anyone want to call in and give me a break from?
But
does anyone else want to take a shot at making fun of this propaganda?
So the great Kathy Cullen, who runs Jolene's, told me recently about Grimmius, which I hadn't heard of. It's one of the giant ranches down in the Central Valley, and they have a calf nursery. And I did a little research in this. And I still couldn't, so I'm going to click on here, calf nursery. I'm going to click on learn more, and it's committed to the calf. And I guess we could say that's true. What they're going to do to that calf is a whole other story. Yeah, John. Well, the whole show is always kind of attacking the cattle industry because that's, in my mind, the number one way the average person can reduce their climate impact in a big way today with what they have for lunch in a couple hours, as opposed to try to end the oil business, which we should also be doing too, but that's a much bigger lift. So look at the Grimmius calf nursery committed to the calves, and they listen. They love raising calves, quote, It's our main business activity, and we take it seriously. The health, the health and well-being of our
We're
calves,
supposed to compliment them for taking business seriously?
the health and well-being of our calves is our top priority, and we consider it a privilege to care for our customers' calves.
Jesus. They're
So,
customers, calves. So was this like outsourcing for other dairies or
so
what is
here we go. Calves are picked up daily. Now, this is right off their website. I don't have to criticize it. I'm just reading it. Calves are picked up daily from dairies throughout California's Central Valley. So they're a conglomerator of calves. They take if calves are removed immediately at birth, taken from their mothers on surrounding ranches.
I'm sorry, Jack, forgive me, but will you scroll back up?
Sure.
I have to
Which
get
part?
this off my chest.
Yeah.
So you can see behind this illegal immigrant, I'm sorry,
Hardworking ranch worker, poor guy.
family member
Yeah.
of the multi-generational family. Again, for the record, I don't care if that person's illegal or not. I just like to make fun of people in Marin County
Importantly so.
suddenly pretending to care. Um, Look at the row after row after row of prisoners in the back, and they pulled this one out to pose for the photo.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
are we not supposed to notice
Thank you.
all the
Brilliant.
ones in the back?
Brilliant. My father used to teach me this. Like, look at that and like, okay, this is probably not an actor. It's actually a ranch worker there who isn't part of the family. He's hired by the family farmer. And they do this PR shot where they,
Hey, next to
I mean,
nothing. He's so frustrated that as soon as the camera stops rolling, he's kicking this calf.
yeah.
That's real, by the way. That's true.
Well, you don't know literally this guy does the kicking, but many of them do because they're brutalized by a brutal industry, which brutalizes animals. And hence the connection between brutal treatment of animals to the brutal treatment of humans to humans, which we can get sucked into too as angry activists, right? But yeah, it is a,
Look
I
at that
mean,
hellscape underneath. I mean, you would think
yeah.
that this was an underground investigation to expose how disgusting it is. They're proud of this, man.
And check this out. I mean, look at they're so clueless.
Early life. My
There's a cow. There's a cow with his head. Is getting a feed bucket in his little pen, and it says, I mean,
That looks like a guillotine.
this is advertising for the industry. This is what they want to show to sell it to us, and it says we provide calves with access to shade, feed, and clean water at all times. All calves are fed a specialized diet formulated and overseen by a team of experienced nutritionists. Licensed veterinarians oversee vaccination treatment protocols. And to show how wonderful what we do is, while Skyward drops off the radar, fine, gagging, look at this animal. I mean, with an ear tag, cut into its ear and stuck into a wooden pen. And
Can I
this is
just?
what they say.
I know. Some people are going to get turned off that we're showing compassion for another living creature.
I don't. I'm way beyond that.
It's just a cow, you dummies. Let's think about the description that Jack just read. What you're bragging about giving to this animal is the treatment that we give to the worst of ours who have been incarcerated. The people who were incarcerated are given shade and water and food and even medical treatment.
It's like saying we're going to give it the things that keep it alive because we want
Right
it
until we kill it.
to make money. Until we kill it when it's 2 years old because we need to make the money. And
Well, it
or,
depends. It
or
depends which
if it's a
depends if they're gonna
female,
if
right,
it's male, it's veal within weeks,
right,
days maybe.
right, or dog food, and then if it's female, then it goes back into servitude, with forced impregnation, also called rape, of an animal to take its next babies away. Now, check that you're going to love this. Folks, watch Skylar. Listen to Skylar laugh. Weaned calves. Once calves are weaned, they are moved from their apartments.
Well, I'll tell you this: they are
Open
about the
corral.
size of San Francisco apartments.
I want to. Once calves are weaned, they are moved from their apartments. Brilliant, brilliant.
Apartments.
My copywriter, my tip my hat to you. They're moved from their apartments to open corrals. After a few months, heifer calves, those are young calves that haven't dropped a calf. Listen to me, haven't given birth yet. Heifer calves are sent back to the dairy they came from. And here we go. Steer calves, meaning males, are either sold or sent to a feed yard. Sold or sent to a feed yard. That sounds happy. What does that mean exactly? Either killed or fattened to be killed soon after. I mean, it doesn't say and sent to their death sooner or later.
There's a whole another subtopic here because they're destroying the entire concept of local because it sounds like they're outsourcing a portion of the dairy process to whoever these monstrous people are in the Central Valley, and then they bring them back.
Yeah. Well, it's
Wow, local. And, Dave Evans had the nerve to tell us that what people should be concerned about are car emissions. As if the animal agriculture doesn't use massive vehicles constantly around the clock for multiple reasons.
John Spears make a comment, which is
Okay,
well, no, you made a caveat to it, and I'm going to do it again. I don't even need to get
great.
into a big thing, but we're not picking on undocumented workers. I'm not opposed to undocumented workers. They are the victims. They're always low wage, no benefits. So we're not picking on them. They are used as a tool and as a weapon by the cattle industry to say, "Oh, the poor workers are being abused," when they're the ones doing the abusing with low wages, no benefits. So when they are agree to get millions of dollars, the ranch owners at Point Reyes to leave the land, they're like, "Hey, but what about the poor ranch workers, which I have
Right,
never paid, never given benefits,
right.
never given vacation, and aren't going to share any of my millions I just got paid again, second time getting paid millions. I'm not going to give. Why am I collar down? See, I can't even see. Why are they going to give none of their money to these poor ranch workers they supposedly feel sorry for?" So, John, I appreciate the reminder to be clear. We're not picking on ranch workers. I mean, my grandparents were immigrants. I'm for immigrants. It's a nation of immigrants. It's the ranch workers who exploit them and then throw them as cannon fodder on the battlefield of propaganda.
I'd like to add a detail to what you were saying about their treatment. In the case of the Mendoza ranch worker that I interviewed, they were literally threatened when they requested not to live in a house with moldy, decaying walls. Shut up and take what you got or go somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's how the ranchers treat these people that you're suddenly pretending to care about.
exactly.
And as Jack has pointed out, not a fucking dime has come from these multimillionaire ranchers toward the people that they supposedly care about.
You know where it comes from? Money has come to them from the county, from the state, from the lawsuit itself, which the TNC participated in. It's coming from many sources except from ranchers who were paid millions of dollars. Millionaire ranchers literally give nothing to the workers they claim to care about, to be clear.
Right. Isn't it
So,
funny that someone has to say something like Vegan Life Cat just did? Dairy industry equals the meat industry. Yeah, of course it does.
uh,
I hear people say, "Oh, I don't eat meat. I just, but I do still do dairy." I'm like,
it's not a clear connection. It's an obscure connection. And Kat, it took me a long time to understand that too. I remember my first time introduced to the idea when I visited Animal Place when I first turned vegan or was trying to turn vegan over a decade ago. And a woman said that. I'm like, what does that mean? Because it was a completely foreign concept. Once we're in the vegan world, we understand it. But you think that I'm just, it's the PR industry, which is saying, well, we just take the milk and we leave the cow alone. I mean, that's the fantasy, right? That's the myth.
thanks back to you, John, because I know you've tried to get people to watch that attempt I made to expose the abuse of these people. Not many people were too interested in learning the truth. They'd rather continue to pretend to care. Hey, look, can we go through? Can we go? Oh, we have a troll. You two are clueless.
Tell
Yes,
us
just
why. Leroy, no, no, no. Put Leroy.
well,
Thanks
we
for
got a lot of. He can. He doesn't have to stay on the screen. We got a lot to go through
I
here.
know, but tell us why. Tell us why we're clueless. Tell us
Yes, I
why,
know because
please.
yeah, we you know what we did? We went and we changed the website. We went and changed the website. Everything that we just showed wasn't real.
I don't. Is his comment up here? I mean, I would love. Yeah, condos. Exactly. Exactly. And condos and apartments, right, for the animals. So again, if we're clueless, tell us why we're clueless. Don't just call
Yeah,
names.
and
It's going to
show
be
us
that
your
many
man
people.
tits in your belly too.
Crates are 11 feet square. Oh my God. Oh my God, Vegan Life Cat, would you, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I was there. You were at Grimmius. So, wow. go to please contact me, Kat. I really want to have a conversation with you later today or tomorrow and learn more about the place. So please indulge me, Skylar. I spent a fair amount of time working
Yeah.
on something. It's now
Yeah.
10 o'clock. We're at the 1 hour mark. So now we're going to begin the show. We were supposed to start at 9 o'clock.
Well, we can certainly continue it next week.
Okay. Well, possibly, but I want to get this out. If I show it again, because I think it's so good. I'm so proud of what I've created here. I have two videos, ladies and gentlemen. One of them is lifted directly from, it's a 2 minute video directly from this website. Excuse me. It's not from this website. It's from YouTube, posted by, on behalf of Grimmius. It's not posted by Grimmius either, but you'll see it's a PR piece, fluff piece for Grimmius Cattle. Let me call this up here. And then I did my own video of the same topic. So if you can handle it, this is 2 minutes and 35 seconds. I can even cut it short, but I just want to give you at least a minute of this.
Okay.
I really enjoy watching animals grow and change. I like to have things that I target for, that I can achieve. And for the dairymen that I raise their calves, their heifer calves for, I want our calves to be the best that they can be. So when they get them back, they're like, these calves are amazing. Around 2000 that we decided we need to start raising baby calves. And at that point is when we really started to grow as a company. Because I think at that point we were at 2 or 3 employees, and today we're close to 1,000.
The success that we've had here at Grimmius Cattle goes back to how do we take what we've been given and allow it to flourish, right? We want cows to flourish through the calf ranch. We want our employees and the guys working for us to flourish and enjoy what they're doing.
I've always been interested in BQA and how it can help us here. We've really empowered our managers as well as our different partners, our nutritionists, our veterinarians. So if they see an opportunity where they feel like education would benefit our employees, then we encourage that.
There are your Berkeley
And
graduates.
talks about big, small.
Big small to me means I want to be able to raise 100,000 animals like I would raise 10. And employees, if I have 1,000 employees, I want to be able to treat them the same as if I had 5 or 10 of them. So I've appreciated CCQA for the fact that it kind of casts vision of how we want to treat animals and how we want to treat our people.
We've trained close to 100% of our employees, whether it's a new employee who's never worked on a calf ranch before, or if it's one of our employees that's been here for 15 or 20 years. It's really fun to go out and talk to managers and employees who are doctoring cattle who are excited about it. They're excited about seeing these.
We want extra validation outside of the system to make sure that what we're doing is aligned with the industry. We want people to be aware of what we're doing. We think beef QA in general is really important for the industry, to open up what we're doing, to get ideas from the industry, and then improve year on year.
Okay.
I did a very good job not saying anything.
Thank you, Skyward. You have something to say?
Nope. Keep going.
Okay. So what I did is I took the same, the power of, this is also a testament to the power of filmmaking, which you know as a filmmaker yourself. So all I did, I took the same footage, I edited out some of the office stuff. It's the same footage, almost exactly in the same order. I just changed the music. I added a little contrast. I didn't even.
Oh, you're doing what I did with the live transport video and the Auschwitz footage.
Okay. Well, I didn't add footage. I just actually removed some footage and I slowed it down. So look at the difference music makes, especially music. As I was editing this, I'm an amateur filmmaker, but I just so enjoyed this process. Check this out, folks. A truer look at Grim is Us.
You can see how evil that guy is now suddenly.
Yep.
I wonder if he'd like his ass kicked by a vegan. Jesus Christ, dude. Holy shit. You guys see all the native plants popping up from the cattle being there, by the way? Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
Whose music is it?
I knew you'd ask. It is license-free music I got to play on YouTube without a license necessary.
Yeah, I've
The
done
first
that
film may
too,
not.
and
The first film might be removed because it's from YouTube, and I don't know whether we have permission to replay someone's PR film. This one is totally legal.
Okay.
The footage is slowed down. I don't think it'll be recognizable, but the music is totally license-free for YouTube, designed to be used on YouTube. Continuing. It's almost done.
So I want to tell people that I had made a suggestion of us going and doing some investigative work, and then I realized, oh, wait, they already did it. You just they're so dark that they actually willingly publish the hell that they've created on Earth. The other thing I want to talk about, since we were talking about immigrant workers,
Just before you shift to immigrant workers, just it's to your point. They're so lost in that world, Skylar. Like I'm probably lost in the vegan world. They show stuff that they think is good, which actually shows a hell on earth for animals and for not so great for humans either. Or as I would call it, a cow schwitz, or in this case, it's a calf schwitz. The one fact they didn't say, they have capacity for 200,000 calves on their property.
Calves, just calves.
Baby cows separated from their mothers in the hundreds of thousands.
And this is one business. How many cows are being forcefully impregnated everywhere in order to constantly replenish a supply of 200,000 at one business?
So Grimmius is not the biggest. Harris Ranch is bigger, by the way, which up to a capacity for 200,000 cow. In fact, when I was doing research on this, it was confusing because it's a feedlot. Grimmius Cattle is also listed as a feedlot, meaning for large animals. 643 acres, has 139,000 beef cattle. That's according to data from California state regulators. And then, of course, there's an analysis for another show about Inside Climate News, talks about the methane that comes out of these places in the Central Valley. It says the facility is one of the largest cattle operations in California. Harris Ranch has a capacity to hold over 100,000 at any given time, with a maximum capacity of 250,000 cows. Harris Ranch is even bigger than Grimmius. But there are many of these places down there. And I would not be doing this topic justice without mentioning with Leah in my mind. So yes, these are factory farms. But if you want to do away with factory farms, where do this many hundreds of thousands of cows go to be raised for meat and milk? To Point Reyes, which is a measly 71,000 acres in its entirety? There's no land to put this many cows on. The factory farm isn't the problem, it's the cow farm is the problem. There's nowhere to put this many cows to do what we do to them.
You know what's interesting is that Dave Evans also admitted to us while we were out there that the cattle that we saw were going to leave temporarily to feed somewhere else and be brought back. The idea of local is gone. This place that you just described will take care of the calving process for you and will also take care of the fattening up process for you. And while the methane being emitted from there is a huge problem, and someone like Dave Evans will try and tell you, well, don't worry about the methane, you should worry about vehicles. They're using vehicles to drive these cattle all over the place. They're using to ship them from one part of California to the next, or to the next state, or wherever they're going to be slaughtered or fattened or raped or impregnated or have their babies stolen from them. It's all taking place in different locations. And then the food is brought in from somewhere else. And then the food is distributed by a vehicle as well. And then the shit is collected by a vehicle and then redistributed somewhere else by a vehicle. And then, except for the clips that were carefully selected to show people walking, because apparently that's how connected. That's good enough to be connected to the land these days. These guys walked for a little bit. Usually their lazy asses are riding around in ATVs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and speaking of lazy asses, where are the white kids? Why these are family businesses? Why aren't there in all the all the important people were white in the video, except they even now have a non-white person training the other non-white people. So I guess all the kids are off at ICE getting a good paying job.
Well, yeah, they're working for ICE, yeah, because they're uneducated anyway. Honest Doubter, by the way, contributed $5. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the show, gents. I'm just checking and Corinne, as always, or as often, $10. Thank you very much for the donation. This goes to support Skylar in paying for this platform, so thank you. We've got a troll here which says, cattle look amazing, fat and happy. Leroy, please, buddy, put in some problem rather than just name calling, which, I mean, please continue name calling because it just shows you have nothing to contribute of any substance. You're just, oh, you guys are assholes or whatever. Well, great. You want to say something more substantial than that, please do. Meanwhile, you just look foolish. So, carry on and keep helping our algorithm by throwing comments in. Fantastic.
And Honest Doubter says, don't feed the low bandwidth troll bot. I mean, you can't spend too much time on them.
I'm unusual. I really get a kick out of playing with the trolls, as long as, they can't take over the microphone and ruin a show.
No, they're doing it through you.
No, they just reveal themselves to be ignorant. It actually builds our case. You want to show the opposition there's nothing to stand on. There's nothing there. Fine. I don't mind. We still got plenty of time to say what we want to say. And so poor Lee is getting sucked in, asking what you eat. Like, whatever. I'm willing to do it, publicly here. Come on, show. I learned this a long time ago. It's another topic, but there was a black man hosting an incredible show in New York. I was 25 years old, and it really was a lesson. A racist came on. It was, using the N-word and stuff. He engaged with the guy, and he just carved him up with intelligence. Not with, reversing the name calling. It was marvelous. I was impressed at his patience that he would even do it. But to the listeners, it was like, wow, this guy, it put him in his place in a very different way.
Yeah.
I remember.
Well, for my sake, we got to restart next week. We can add to this. I'm gonna go eat a vegan diet and do some push-ups and go run. But I tell you what, Leroy, if you would like to post a photo of yourself and your man tits and your belly, I'll show you my vegan pecs and abs at age 52.
You have a race. Just do a 1 mile race, 4 laps around a quarter-mile track at the high school.
Yeah, that too.
So Leah says you should answer the ignorant questions as they're what most people think. Well, that's true too. Exactly. Like, for instance,
we answer them every single week without being asked.
Yeah. Anyway, so tonight we're wrapping up our show here, I guess, at 10:15, an hour and 15 into the show. But at 6 o'clock tonight, the great Leah Wilborn who's an incredible animal rights activist, and I and two other activists, Jason Balalik of Animal Place, excuse me, and Mike Rupena, who's the lead for San Francisco's chapter of Anonymous for the Voiceless that shows slaughterhouse footage on the street. We're going to have a discussion about especially the value of showing slaughterhouse footage on the street, or how much value is there, and the pluses and minuses. An interesting discussion about strategy, tactics, our philosophies, and our experience as activists. It's tonight, 6 o'clock. You can register on my treespiritproject.com/events page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And for all the trolls, when you get done raping animals, go rape some kids like your president.
And on that high note, God, Skylar. Oh boy. So thanks everyone for showing up. That is Skylar Thomas of the Watching Humans podcast. You can see these shows. Hopefully all of that video will be past the censors of YouTube. We'll see. And I'm Jack Gescheit of the Tree Spirit Project. We're here every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern time. Thanks for joining us. Please come back and share this content after it posts on YouTube in a few minutes.
And Kat, also contact me. You don't have to limit it to Jack. I'd love to hear.
She texted me. I know who Vegan Life Kat is now.
Okay.
I just don't know whether, because that's your screen name, whether you want to be outed as who you are, as the woman who runs Jolene's. So I'm just being respectful of you.
Cool.
But thanks for texting me so I know who you are, Kat. We'll talk. I do want to learn more about
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks all.